How's it going, guys? Zoro Fanboy 124 here, and we're here today to talk about Game of Thrones season number 4, episode number 8. And wow, I was wrong. I will be the first to admit I was wrong. I did not think in any way, shape, or form Bolton could have lost this fight. I was wrong. I was completely fucking wrong. And yeah, this episode was crazy. Despite the Oberyn stuff, it was still a solid episode for me. So yeah, it was good and entertaining overall. We got a lot of group of people in here today. Obviously, as you can see, we got a full house. Everyone can go say hellos. Bankai.
Yeah, Bankai 922. Man, listen. It was
like a watermelon, man.
I mean, I'm going to talk about this later in the week. I'm thinking about doing a video on the topic of revenge.
Very nice.
I really want to go into it because Oberyn, yeah, that's what happens when you want revenge. It gets to your head and...
You got cocky, man. You got cocky and you got caught slipping.
You things happen.
You murdered her, you killed her children. All right, Jim, say hello.
Oh, man, you know, and I want to say, too, that it pisses me off, your predictions, because the first thing I thought of when the fight started and it was so one-sided to Oberyn, I was like, fucking Zoro's right, man. It's going to be a landslide. It's got to be the obvious choice, right? And then when that shit happened in that blink of an eye, man, and everything happened, I looked up and I said, man, I want to fucking strangle Zoro. I felt like you jinxed it, bro.
I'm sorry, man. The books were written before I was even born, probably.
Anyway, sorry, I'm just messing around, though, man. Happy to be here. A really cool episode, probably my favorite. I'm so emotionally tied to this series now. I didn't sleep right. It was just. I understand it's fiction, but it was just so graphic and grotesque and brutal that it was like, man, just. Ooh.
I was not expecting it to be that fucking brutal, man. That was rough. All right. Next, you got Shut Red.
Oh, what's up? Man, I was gonna say, Zoro, you kind of built Jim's confidence up. You thought he was gonna win.
I'm sorry. I was wrong. All I can say is, I mean, what's the point of his character now? Maybe there might be some kind of like ripple effect after this, but like his entire character was based off this revenge.
And the thing is that everything that, you know what I mean, everything you said, though, made sense. Why would they introduce this character that is so great, so spot on, so beloved in such a short period of time? Because it was really only in about half a dozen episodes, if that, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you felt, you liked this guy so much that it seemed like everything you said would be spot on. I mean, why would you go and kill this character off, you know? It was brought in for something as simple and honestly, just, you know, kind of it's lame. It's you see it everywhere. You know, the whole revenge thing. You know, right. I get it. I totally get, and I feel where he was coming from. But it's like, God damn it, man. You know?
Yeah, because when I saw the fight, I was all rooting for him. I thought a little bit he might lost, but right after he was winning the battle, I was like, okay, he's doing what he has to do. He's getting it until he was asking more about. You know, he wants to hear the Duke confess. I'm like, I wouldn't be asking that question.
No, I would not. Like,
you know, the guy can pull something up his sleeve. You saw
Tyrion's face, yo.
The one problem I have with it, before we move on to Rick, is honestly, do you honestly think that the Mountain of all people is gonna confess or even give a shit about what the hell your sister? It's the fucking Mountain. Even if you had him and he was unable to even like fight back at all. Even then, he wasn't going to admit it.
Yeah, this guy's not gonna break for anybody. He's a born and bred killing machine.
Is that gonna point to Tywin? Like, was he expecting to point to Tywin? Like, no, it wasn't gonna happen. So I don't know. That kind of.
When it came to that, I thought that I was like, man, I bet you the Mountain's gonna get him, or somebody's gonna cheat, or something's gonna happen in this battle right here.
It was fucked up.
And it was that.
It was definitely fucked up.
And I felt like when he was just doing that, trying to figure out who gave him the order or whatever, I'm like, you should already know the answers to that.
Yeah, it's like.
But
I want to hear from the Mountain.
What he was trying to do, in my opinion, he was trying to expose Tywin in that sense. Like, he wanted the crowd to hear that it was Tywin Lannister that was responsible for the murder of women and children. That's what the point was. He knew exactly. He didn't. It was to expose Tywin to the public as a murderer of women and children.
It was, but you got to remember that the only people that are here are going to be people of a high nobility and just kind of the elite. It wasn't a very big arena. It's going to be a very secluded, very segregated crowd too, to basically to who Tywin wants there.
Right.
So I really don't think it would have affected the court of public opinion, but I think it was more for him
but
and
it was his
sense of
personal
justice.
satisfaction.
So he could, yeah, exactly. So it would satisfy his own, you know what I mean, his own need to want to go and fill that void and have him be pointed at and have, you know, because he knew that it was him, but you know, he just wanted, like you said, some sort of public, you know, assurance that it was. I guess, you know.
Exactly. But okay, now Rick, you could go ahead and say your channel and everything. Kind of get a little off the side there.
All I'm gonna say about the episode, excellent episode. From a story progression standpoint and the fight, we concluded the Theon Ramsay storyline, which kind of disappointed me the way that played out, but you know, get into more of that later. But George, fuck you, George Martin. You dynasty mofo. You do this thing to you. Look, you kill Tyrion. And no.
Okay,
Tyrion, no. Die.
Xaladin put it best.
Die.
It's an abusive relationship. That's what Xaladin posted on my video. It's an abusive relationship.
Because you know the whole thing where it's like, don't be attached to this character. I can see some characters being attached, but if once Tyrion goes, then yeah, I'll definitely put that hammer down. Saying
No.
Every character, nobody.
Where's George Moore live? Where does he live? Where does he live?
You call them some ZZ top looking.
Yeah, he does. He looks.
I don't care if it's fucking plot device, plot armor, whatever the fuck may be. You saved Tyrion's life. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Make it happen.
But nobody has plot armor. Nnobody has plot armor.
I think there are very few characters that have plot armor, like Jon Snow.
Nah, the only one I think. Well, I look at like Jon Snow, Daenerys, Stannis. I look at those as like they're going to be around for a while. You know what I mean? That's just how I picture it. They're going to be around for a little while, just because they seem to be the most powerful or biggest claimants to the throne, which seems to be what the end game is going to be about. You know what I mean? Who's going to rule Westeros moving into the future, right? And so like Jon Snow, because we still don't know where he comes from. I think he's safe for a while. Tyrion, I thought after season 2, when he was the Hand of the King and he was doing some big things, and you saw he was kind of fit for this whole game, you know, I thought that Tyrion was going to be safe for a while. Now I'm not sure though, you know. But if they don't pull him out of this, I think it'll be a real travesty and a real waste of a character. But who knows? I mean, I'm just grateful that no one. I don't look on a lot of comments because of spoilers and shit, and all the book readers that feel insistent upon telling people shit that's going to happen. Right. And for 2 weeks, I managed to not be spoiled on who won this fight. And now I put up my review earlier today, and I got people coming out of the woodwork, messaging me, tweeting me, all stuff. Oh yeah, and it's like I knew the whole time, but they were cool enough not to say anything, you know. And then they agreed, obviously, that even seeing it visually depicted and with the screams and everything like that made it that much more gut wrenching. So.
Yeah, my viewers for my video have been very kind to me and been very good about not spoiling. I had a troll. That's a long story though. It was he posted a Game of Thrones spoiler in an anime video. The fuck? That's cheating.
It's cheating.
But who did?
Like I wasn't looking for that in a Naruto review.
Someone spoiled Game of Thrones in a Naruto review.
Yeah, anyway, he was really trolling my channel.
That's crazy.
Anyway, I'm sorry. We got to circle back around here. Zora, we're coming off the train tracks, and I'm sorry about that.
It's all good, man. It's all good. These things are never really structured anyway. Xaladin, I've got to get to you, man. What do you think about this episode as a book reader?
First of all, I just gotta say I do not know how everyone manages to get spoiled. Like I know at least like 6 different people getting spoiled like random stuff, man. But the good thing about the series, though, even if you get spoiled, it's still shocking. Like, I already knew what was going to happen in the fight, obviously, but, like, I like, literally closed my eyes for, like, 5 seconds of it. Like, oh, my God, that was crazy. But, yeah, it was a really good episode. Oh, my God. And all I'm going to say, not really a spoiler, but how can I put this? It's not too disappointing that he died. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. It's bad. He was a good character, but you'll see. You'll see.
Okay. That's
I kind of, because I bought majority of the books. I haven't read them yet, but I bought majority of them. And remember what I told you, Rick? I think it was something I've read about book 4. It wasn't book 4. It was book 5. That I found this like mini summary. That was it. That's the closest I've ever been spoiled.
See, this was the biggest live shocker that happened for me because my wife and I started watching this show between season 2 and 3, and we watched season 1 and 2 pretty much back to back, couple episodes a night on HBO On Demand. When season 3 came out, I accidentally had been spoiled to the Red Wedding. I was looking up information on just in general, like, because I heard that there was a book series, and I'm an avid reader. I like to read, so I looked up a little information about it, and then somehow or another, somebody just put right in smack dab in the middle of something about how, and season 3 is actually going to split. Season 3 and 4 are going to split book 3, and it's going to end at the Red Wedding. So I kind of knew what that was going into it. So this was the first real, because Joffrey dying for me, it was great, but it wasn't like a shocker in a way of like a character that I loved. I mean, I loved to hate him, but so this one really for me was just gut wrenching on a few different levels, you know, a few of the different scenes. So you know,
it happened so fast. That was crazy. Like, I think the most powerful thing is how fast it happened. Like, the fight itself was, I think, like the fight was like a 2.5 minutes, but that happened literally
10
like
minutes. Well, 10 minutes, wasn't it? Well, no, not the whole fight, but like the setup to.
I think.
The fight itself was only a couple minutes.
The actual combat itself, I think, lasted like 2.5 minutes, but the dude died in literally like 10 seconds. Like, literally, it's crazy.
Well, the first thing I thought about when I saw that, Cumberbatch, Star Trek. That's the first thing I thought about. Because he did the same thing to the Admiral. He was like crushing his head.
I was good. You know what I was going to say? I was going to say the Mountain. He pulled a Mortal Kombat on us.
Yeah, right. Afterwards, I was like, if I hadn't shit myself, I probably would have fatality.
Yo, the mountain was like, yeah, I raped her and I killed her children, and he just.
You know what that reminded me of? Well, you raped her, you killed her children. That reminded me if anyone's seen The Princess Bride, Inigo Montoya, when he kept saying you killed my father, prepare to die. I am Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. That's the one thing that had me like, that's just like The Princess Bride.
Have you seen the Six Finger Man? Yeah. I saw that in a lot of different recaps and stuff that I was looking at.
George, he literally.
I actually didn't think of that at all with it. I mean, I guess because he's a Spanish guy and he was, repeating it over and over again. But I guess because Princess Bride was so campy and silly to me, that whole "my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die" was like the cheesiest thing with that little pencil-thin shit mustache that he had. Just like all the,
great movie. I love that movie.
It was funny, it was funny. It was great, but like I didn't think of that when I saw Oberyn doing that in Game of Thrones, mainly because I was invested in the fight, and I was just like, oh my god, I was like, he's just because it was so elegant the way he was spinning and moving, and man, I used to be in the martial arts and taekwondo, and this dude was making this shit just look like light and effortless, and the Mountain was like fucking.
Yeah. Well, that was the good thing about that fight, because the Mountain, when he first started, he was just like swinging his sword like he didn't know how to fight or whatever. Because we've seen him fight before using 2 hands with his sword when he fought with his brother and stuff.
Was a new actor, so.
But one thing I have to say that they couldn't have really like replicated, but it's important to note that I think that in the books, a part of the reason Oberyn died was because they didn't have a lot of space to fight in. It was like a smaller space. It was a ring. You know how like in like middle school or whatever the hell, like they're like the fights, like people like all crowd around and they're like pushing in. Like it was kind of like that.
Oh, okay. It was a tighter space. Yeah, and Oberyn, his fighting style, at least obviously how it was depicted in the show, was more of a fluid, and a lot of it relied on distance. Keeping that distance.
By the spear
between them with the spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you fight with a lance or a spear.
And in the books, actually, the Mountain actually killed someone that was spectating the match.
That's how.
It's like in Baseballs when they kill the camera guy, the guy that's
I think he just like sliced him in half. Like the dude like got too close or something, and he just sliced him in half.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
I hope the Mountain dies a slow, horrible death, because he went and he fell over, and I don't know if he's dead or if he's still going to be alive, but I hope that fucking spear had poison on it, and I hope it makes his dick shrivel up and fall off, man. God.
I thought he died the way he just fell over like that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he was just exhausted, that's all he had left after getting stabbed a few times or what, but Oberyn didn't do anything lethal, I think,
Why do you think that is poison, though?
Why do I think that it's poison? Well, because...
Well, I was a poison expert, but...
Well, Tywin came to him, and he said that he trained in all these different poisons, and then right before they start, the squire's rubbing something on. He's polishing or rubbing something on with a rag, the end of the spear, and he hands it to him.
Oh.
So I thought right away. I thought, well, maybe that's his thing, and maybe that's what
I didn't
slowed
see
the
that.
mountain down and even paralyzed him, or maybe did slow. I don't know, because he hit him and he slashed at him, and this big behemoth just kind of was pretty much laid on his ass, fairly quick. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought.
That would make what the mountain did to him even more impressive, if that's true. Because
Yeah.
not only was he stabbed through the chest, his Gilly essentially sliced off, and if he was poisoned, he's able to crush his
poison on
head.
top of it. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Because I know when they were fighting, he hit his leg, and then I think it was in my stream, Hockey was saying it was his Achilles tendon.
Yeah, he
Right.
cut.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he cut
slashed his
that, so he
tendon.
couldn't stand up.
So I'm just wondering, because I'm pretty sure most people are going to say, book readers are going to say, the mountain's still alive. But even if he is, that's Achilles tendon, man. He ain't going to be walking around anytime soon.
I can confirm that at this point he probably has a pulse.
Well, he was able to crush Oberyn's head. I don't think he'd die right afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He is kind of a superhuman
Okay,
fucking guy.
you do remember though something else, that Oberyn made sure he didn't kill him because he wanted him to confess. He was about to stick it all the way through him, and he's like, "No, you can't die yet." So he took it out.
Right.
Like to stick it all the way in him, and then he's like, "No, I'm gonna take it out."
Dirty
But
mind.
wait a second.
All right, so we can get back to the whole Oberyn thing in a little bit. Let's just try to go and talk about some of the other things that happened in this episode. I don't know about you guys, but for me, maybe the first 10 to 15 minutes, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. The big episode starts with Gilly, and honestly, I don't give two fucks about Gilly. If I'm being honest, I'm sorry. I don't care about Gilly. I don't care about the baby. No, I'm sorry. And even the scene at the wall with Jon talking to the other members of the Night's Watch, it just wasn't anything special. They were just talking about, hey, we might be dead. Let's drink.
Pretty much the last bit of setup for the season episode 9. That's all.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I don't know. It just felt like filler almost.
It probably was.
I don't know. Was that filler?
What to do was with the Night's Watch particularly, the sense of dread.
The Grey Worm thing, or
No, not the Grey Worm thing. I'm talking about the whole thing with Gilly, and
that was all filler. The Grey Worm romance, that was filler, and the Gilly thing, that was filler too.
it's like the first 20 minutes was filler, essentially.
I like the Grey Worm. I like the Grey Worm stuff, though.
See, okay,
I didn't.
I liked the Grey Worm,
I
but
didn't.
probably not for reasons I should have liked it. But I did not like the Gilly scene. That was stupid in my opinion, because Ygritte that was out of character for her to spare.
Yeah, that's probably was.
Yeah,
That
for
was
the
really
thing
out of
she's
character.
been with Jon and how she's been going on a rampage, I agree with that.
The only
Yeah,
thing I see-
especially because when they attacked that town, the Wildlings, a few episodes ago, they made a point to show that she was just as brutal as everybody else.
Exactly.
She took down a couple of people,
Right.
man. She stabbed an
That's-
old lady, killed a kid, probably. I don't know.
I think the only point of showing that is to say that, okay, she to still make her likable in some respect. You know what I'm saying?
I think it is. So there's some redemption for her,
Right. Exactly.
It's weird.
That's what
It's one of those characters that's hard to put redemption on. I mean, I was wanting to see that character dying.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I didn't find that scene important at all, to tell you the truth. It was just kind of a check-in to let you know that, hey, the shit's about to hit the fan. That's what I looked like at it. And I didn't enjoy. I didn't really like the scene either with the Grey Worm stuff and that whole thing. But honestly, Miss Andre, man, she is rocking a fucking body underneath that. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I thought she was a pretty girl, in the face and everything. She was very nice looking, but I didn't know what she was going, because she's got some robes on all the time. And then when I
thought she had a body. I didn't think it was going to show it.
It was impressive. First fan service we got in the show for quite a while. I mean, at least they really.
This is why I like the Grey Worm scene, because you gotta remember, Grey Worm, he was he was an Unsullied. He was by birth. Since then, he's been trained. He never knew what it was like to feel human emotions.
Yeah,
and
all
now
that had
that
been
he
wiped
has that
away.
freedom,
Right, but how could he be into her when he has no balls, man?
That's the thing that's uncomfortable for me, because I keep thinking that they're gonna go and all of a sudden he's gonna stand up out of the water and they're gonna show his stump or whatever is there, and I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to see that. And Game of Thrones will do some shit like that to you,
Like,
think about
First off, I have to say,
If they were going to, they might as well show. They would have showed Tyrion peeing and stuff. They would have showed his dick too.
first off, I do have to say one thing. When it came to Grey Worm scene, maybe it was just me, but I don't think he acted it out that well. I mean, it was smooth, but the whole pretending to speak, not know how to speak English, yet speaking English thing. Yeah, me and Zado were talking about this yesterday, and we said that basically he was better at learning, better at the language English, like from the beginning of the conversation to the end of the conversation. He was better.
He got progressively worse.
Oh, better. He got progressively better.
No, okay, look. If you rewatch that scene, you will see at the start he was having trouble piecing together like 1 and 2 and 3 words. At the end, he was saying full sentences. He was just saying them like slightly slower than normal.
That worked for me too.
Oh man.
And his words got more and more. His words got more and more like complex. Like.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
at
like
this point. At this rate, he's gonna be Davos. He's gonna be better at speaking English than Davos pretty soon.
He's got Jorah teaching him big words.
He gave Grey Worm a little bit of character development.
It did. Yeah.
Well, that felt like filler too, though. I don't know.
It was filler, but I don't.
But like, what can come of that relationship? It can't. I mean,
yeah.
He's got no dick, man. Or he does, but
you can't be dating and having romanticism in the workplace. I don't care if it's the medieval times,
Maybe they make strap-ons in Westeros in the Hey, who knows?
All I'm saying is I'm not going to say anything.
So great.
I'm not about to complain just because I want more. That's all I'm going to say.
I want to see more Missandra naked, but they could just they could just have like an annual bathing scene with her or something like that. You know, there's plenty of reasons to get her butt naked. It's hot over in Marine. It is hot. It looked like it's a desert, and they're in the middle. It looked like Egypt, and it's hot in Egypt. You know?
I also find it really odd that they have like the guys right next to the girls in terms of like taking a going in the river.
That's what I'm saying. That's like torture for the guys. Like. You're setting the guys up for failure right here.
Yeah, and all these guys are eunuchs. They're looking over the seeing all the naked girls. Like I don't feel anything. Only
I always felt like
Grey Worm felt something, you know.
Kind of like a forest country.
I just don't understand how Grey Worm can feel something without balls. You know?
Well, he has the stones, but not
pillar.
The pillar.
No, does he have the pillar or the stones? I don't know. I don't want to know.
I have no idea.
I don't want to know.
I'm curious.
I'm with he's got one stone and a little stubby ass pillar.
Yeah, something.
I'm with Missandei on this one. I want to know. Yo, did anyone else think that Daenerys was gonna tell her to check?
I don't know. That seems yeah. Okay. So let's move past that point. I don't know. I wasn't feeling that. But the first good scene, in my opinion, was the whole the scene with Reek, aka and Ramsay, dude. Wow. That was crazy. Well, I kind of figured
a really well done scene.
Yeah.
In a way, that was the beginning of the depressing moments for me, though, because whether you cared about the first couple of scenes or not, that scene was showing that. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, I mean, that Theon is he's not Theon. You know, he was given the chance and even going over into enemy lines, but technically it should be like, I'm home. He still has no idea what he's so broken, he's so done.
He's no longer Theon.
And I think that was like depressing. That was like the ultimate confirmation. You know what I mean? Last episode when his sister, wouldn't come with her and he was scared and he was in the dogs. I was like, all right, it's just like a psychological thing because when, obviously when that was done to him, when Ramsay pulled him out of there, like he was rescuing him and everything, I think it was kind of like I was thinking it was an emotional flashback or something like that. And I was like, there might still be hope for this dude, And, oh man. Nothing though, He just
man, he's broken. Well, last episode for me was the episode where I don't even know if I want to call him by his real name anymore. For me, he's just Reek. He's a brand new character.
None of you guys are Theon fans. No Theon fans.
I was a Theon fan. I was a vehement defender of Theon, and until he turns back, right now he's in a place where he's not even a human being.
I thought this was going to be like Theon's road to being Theon again, like.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that something different was going to happen.
And then they just ripped it up from you and just like. I think Ramsay was smart because like you're Theon right now, but who are you really when when I say so? Who are you? He reminded
me. So you die.
Really,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, after torture that extensive, I would think that it would probably take something just as traumatic to make him turn back to Theon. Yeah.
Or it could be a slow-moving process, man. But who got the time for that?
I mean, I think this is the major reason he's not turning back. I think the major reason is there were probably a lot of times that they didn't show where Ramsay made him think like he could escape. Remember when he let him escape?
Right.
Yeah, he let him escape a bunch of times just to let him know, like, no matter what you do, like, turning into Theon is going to do you no good. So I think it's going to take something like really traumatic to make him turn back at Theon.
Yeah, he pulled the ultimate psychological warfare on him.
Yeah.
But and then how about the end of the scene when he's like, "Come on, Reek, it's time to give me a bath," and I'm thinking, God, you sick bastard, you probably have him wash you and freaking your. He probably stands up in the tub and has him wash his dingling and goes, "See, look what you're missing there, Reek. Look what you're missing." He's a fucking psycho, and I love it, because it's a good fill-in for the gap that was left with Joffrey's death,
Yeah. So we can move on to the other scene now, since we're talking about the whole Ramsay stuff with him and Bruce Bolton.
Right.
I thought it was oddly touching for a psychopath for him to actually get his own name. Am I weird in that respect?
No, I love the scene.
Like George R. R. Martin does one thing really, really well. He doesn't have a single character in Game of Thrones that's ultimately good or ultimately evil.
Yeah.
They all have some, well, maybe with the exception of the Mountain, but they're all characters that have good tendencies and bad tendencies. There's no extremes. Each character has their positive and negatives. That's what I really like about Game of Thrones.
The Mountain's
I'm gonna say they all got
There's no black and white.
The Mountain is just a raping machine, man.
I mean, there's some really truly evil dudes out there. We could probably say just like him and I'm trying to remember what's his name. Fuck. But the point what I'm trying to say is they all got specific goals what they want to go. What they're looking for. Even with Bolton's son.
Mm-hmm. Ramsay.
For me, the scene, what did it was them walking up in the backdrop and seeing the mountains and just it was a beautiful backdrop to it, and the way it was done, and just everything, even from the wind blowing and everything else, and the way he's talking to him, and the fucking capes are flapping in the wind and everything. It was all just the ambiance was set so nice that when he did that, I felt good about it, even though Ramsay's a psycho. I was just like, man, all he wants is his daddy's love, really. I mean, just the recognition that he's not this bastard, that he's not this stuff. It's not his fault that his dad went and fucked somebody that wasn't actually his wife. You know what I mean? That's why does the kid pay for the sins of the father? But that's how it works, and I just really liked the way the whole scene was set, and how he's like, you're a Bolton now, and it was really cool. So
I honestly didn't know they could do that like that. But SMX Wing and Bonkai told me that the king can actually can authorize it, and they can criminalize their sons. My question is, here's a food for thought: why didn't Ned do that for Jon? And that's the fuck. Why do the fucked up people always get the good shit in Game of Thrones?
Well, the thing is, like, Jon was never the next in line. You know what I'm saying?
Ned doesn't have the power. Ned doesn't have the power to do it to Jon.
But no, he could have went to Robert though, and be like, I want to make Jon a Stark. Right.
Okay, here's the thing. I mean, that's completely possible, but at that point, when Robert was king, I think it was about time for Jon to go to the Wall anyway, so it really wouldn't have mattered. I mean, they could have done it.
But if he became a Stark, he wouldn't have to go to the Wall.
No, he wanted to go to the Wall.
He never had to. He volunteered just because he was tired of the snow, thing following around, always being known as the bastard child, as Tyrion called him, So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Jon wanted to make a
cat though. I say it was cat.
Bruce Bolton only did that because he needs an heir. He has nobody else. The other guy died, right?
Yeah.
So here you go. That's what he's left with Ramsay, good and bad. So.
I mean, when it came to that, it was like I ain't surprised. Because you're the leader, you're the heir to the kingdom. You can make any rules you want. So it wasn't surprising that Bolton made Ramsay Bolton's name.
Yeah, I didn't understand exactly how it worked, but when he handed him the scroll, if you just draw something up, or if you got to go to the king, or whatever the deal is. But I think it was good though, because he had no other heir apparent, and he sees how hard. Listen, the kid's a psychopath, all right, beyond all belief. But if you can keep a psychopath on your side, and it's your kid, and all he wants is your admiration, that's a really good horse to have in the stable. Is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? You got to go to war, and that dude went and took Moat Cailin without having to lay siege to it and spend weeks, if not or months, and still killed everybody, all of his enemies. So he's psychotic and sharp too.
Yeah, because I was going to say, that scene right there, it made me interested that the Boltons now have mostly got all the entire the North. Like they got that
Right,
mostly
yeah.
unlocked because
They still have to conquer the North.
fuck with them.
You know, so
Really.
Still got to completely conquer it, but I didn't know that the North was as big as the other 6 kingdoms combined. It reminds me of Canada, you know, because there's certain parts of Canada that are habitable, but much of it's huge, and a lot of it's just fucking nobody wants to live there. It's just open space, you know.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because I'm like, either nobody.
That's like that's why the border in the North is such a powerful position because you have so much territory and whatnot.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, because I thought it as maybe the start's like, oh, they got all this territory, but they probably just live free and don't care about owning like a lot of land or make ownership or make different like outposts and bases and stuff.
Well, I think it's just like Canada, because if you think about it, the wall is like bleak and desolate, and like whenever they're in the North, like honestly, do you ever really feel good about it? I mean, it's always like kind of windy and cold, and it always seems like a scene out of Lord of the Rings and shit right before the shit hits the fan and the orcs attack at night or something in the ward. You know, it's like it's just really desolate, you know. So again, it just feels like a big open empty space, you know, with a lot of mountains and a lot of fucking cold, you know. But I mean, even Winterfell to me, I was like, I wouldn't want to live there. Like, you couldn't pay me to live there, you know.
Right. My question is, why are the Islandborn still there? Why they could have just left after Rob's death? They have nothing to gain from staying there, other than are they just being arrogant, prideful? Is that why they're not deciding just to leave?
Well, the Ironborn, the whole thing about the Ironborn is, if you remember, obviously Theon was sent to go and try to enlist the help of his father, and his father went and said, no, fuck that, we're going to use this whole skirmish and everybody being evacuated from the North, locked up in this fight with Robb Stark against the Lannisters, and they were going to start taking over the North. But when Robb Stark died, that's the best time to keep going with it. Now there's nobody, all the houses are divided, there's no one leader, there's nobody in Winterfell.
But Tywin is backing Roose Bolton. Or at least, somewhat supporting him, not getting, he's not going to be against him.
But didn't he say that Tywin said he could have the North as long as he could? He had to take it back though and hold it. Like Tywin's basically going to say like, you're warden of the North, but you got to fucking conquer it. I think I don't think he meant him any support or troops or anything like that.
Yeah, because I can see that because nobody don't wants to take the North because it's a very cold country. It's like you can have it for all you care, and it's easy for both to take out all the little stragglers here and there, and the Greyjoys are like one of the only kingdoms over there, but they're not gonna fuck with them, and they're like a small country.
Honestly, like I don't know what's gonna happen with the whole. Well, I know some of it, but not all of it. But this is not a spoiler because this is completely a shot in the dark even by me. But I think Roose Bolton's the kind of guy to even turn on Tywin if he sees.
I can see that. That's why I think if he's gonna take the North, he can. He's gonna go down. And fight. The Lannisters because he got all that land.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't see Roose Bolton as the type of guy to serve anyone for too long.
Right.
It's just me though.
Yeah, it does seem kind of shrewd and yeah. I don't know, something about Roose Bolton. I like him more than I did when he was first introduced. Personally, I don't know. But okay, let's move on. The Littlefinger scene. He's standing on trial for what he did, and we figured this was gonna happen. And wow, I do have to say, for the first time in a long time, I really like Sansa's character in this episode.
How about it?
Really like what Sansa did.
Finally.
Love it. I fucking love what
Sansa did. She put on a clinic, boy. Seriously, she played those people like a fucking harp, man.
Hey, she's learning from the best. She's learning from the best.
She impressed Littlefinger. Okay, and Littlefinger is the king of chaos and lies. And wow.
Exactly.
Watch them get married.
Now, I was gonna say, looking at this episode during like a lot of events that happened, I was gonna say this was my favorite episode as far as like a lot of characters, changed and a lot of character development, a lot of things happened. Especially, I would say, both the Stark, daughters. Her, I could see her turning really sadistic. Really cunning. Sansa, and I can see the daughter, Arya.
I think Sansa and Arya are both learning in different ways how to play the game of survival, really, is what it is, and that the world is not the sheltered walls you grew up behind, protected in Winterfell and by your father's name and all that other stuff. And Sansa, this was her turning point for really realizing that she knows how to play the game. You know what I mean? And she's absolutely thinking in her mind, like, okay, Littlefinger is dangerous as fuck, but he totally sees my mom in me, right? So you want my mom? Cool. I'll act just like her. I'll play the game. Because you know, ever since he took her off on the boat from King's Landing, she was like, "Why are you doing this? Why did you kill the king? Why did you save me? Why? And in this episode, when he went and came in and talked to her, she was like, "I know what you want." So she's got it now. She's like, "I know what you want, and I'm gonna go and play into it and do what needs to be done." You know, whether it's for survival or revenge or a little bit of both, who knows? You know. But I absolutely loved her after this episode. I couldn't agree with you more, Zoro. So,
honestly,
put on a clinic, man.
I mean,
Sansa?
Did they fuck? I mean, I'm just asking. She had that look on her face like.
I'm just saying that's gonna happen later.
If they haven't by now, I'm pretty sure they will at some point.
The way things are going. That was funny when I was looking at that scene. I was like, yeah, they're gonna be working together a lot. Who knows? Maybe
they seem like partners in crime.
Show her his little finger.
No, they seem like partners in crime now. They really do. Like she has that whole like thing going with her. But my question is, what is Littlefinger's goal for Robin in this episode? What is because he's trying to get him,
send him out of the place so he can have an accident.
I was gonna say this.
Yes.
Remember I was talking about last time we did this. I told you he wants that army. So why not have train somebody who's gonna be a fighter? Working at it. He did say he wanted to teach, him the outside world and not stay in the way how he was acting and stuff.
True, but I'm leaning towards with Jim with this that possibly Robin could have an accident while going outside, therefore leaving him as the only possible person left to lead the country. So.
Oh yeah, with a heavy heart, I'll take over the duties of Lord of the Vale.
Actually, you know what? No, I don't think so because I don't think the Lords of the Vale will go for that. That's the biggest thing because they weren't buying. If it wasn't for Sansa, first off, they don't like Littlefinger already. You can tell by that. And second off, if it had not been for Sansa's testimony, Littlefinger would have been in trouble for the first time ever. He really would have.
Yeah,
they were not buying that story.
But I think Sansa's testimony, though, solidified it in their minds that, they were truly seemed like, afterwards when they were walking away, hey, listen, I'm sorry, we're sorry that we were accusing you like that. They seemed like they bought it hook, line, and sinker, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if like shortly after when Robin gets an accident, I don't think they're stupid.
Well, I didn't say shortly after. You got to remember that. Him just touring around the Vale and going to a few different towns and learning some things, he could be gone for a year or two, and
if he can mold Robin, though, if he can mold Robin, because now he
use him,
Robin now.
Yeah, that's true.
If he can mold Robin and manipulate him,
he's gonna try to mold him.
Why not? Why not just keep him around?
He's got to try to calm down that little fucking spaz, though, because that kid, you know what I mean? He'd be get angry and be wanting to throw people through the moon door all the time.
I was gonna say that's
the
why
bad man fly.
I can see Littlefinger doing something really drastic. That's why he's sending him out there, to be on his own or become a fighter. And all
I think Littlefinger's gonna mold him into what he wants him to be.
Yep.
He can go either way. That's what I feel. But you're right. I think
because if he was going to kill, Robin, he could do it so many different ways.
Yeah. Either way, it's a good excuse to get him out from underfoot now and get the little spaz out in the world like that. And then Sansa coming out looking all stunning in her dress, and she dyed her hair too. It looked like she obviously can't let anybody know.
That was an amazing moment for Sansa because literally to me it was like a metamorphosis, now a change in the character.
Yeah, she's like,
we're going to see a much different Sansa.
Yeah, right. That's how I felt, honestly, because I didn't care for a character at all for the most part for the first 3 seasons, and probably the first few episodes of this season. And then, she started to grow on me a little bit in the last couple episodes, and I was kind of feeling for her again. But after this episode, man, I'm good, man. I like her. I think that she's done a big transformation, and I hope it continues. In this direction. So because I like the devious fucking Sansa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely. Presboy, from what we were talking about before about Jon, says this: Jon's older than Robb, which I didn't know. If he was made Stark, then he would have inherited Winterfell. Catelyn would have hated that.
So that's why he was never made.
Yeah, I think Catelyn was a big part as to why Ned didn't make him a Start.
And if Jon is actually in truth older than Robb, then obviously, he couldn't have done it. So.
Yeah, I thought Jon was older than Robb. Because this is before he met her.
I mean, the show, Robb looked much older.
I mean, that wouldn't be exactly...
Yeah, Robb looked like mid-20s, maybe.
That wouldn't be exactly true, though, because you got to remember, after you go to the Wall, you forfeit all your holdings to any land.
Right, but assuming he didn't go to the wall.
Yeah, assuming he was,
Yeah.
if he was made not to be a bastard, he probably never.
Before that, yeah.
But I was going to say, still in the fact, you can always change rules. I mean, you can do whatever luck you want. Who's going to, fight against you about it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure how all that stuff works, but I assume that some people take
I think that was Cat. It was
very
mainly
serious.
Cat that wouldn't let Ned do
I
that.
mean,
That's
if you break a rule, you lose all your credibility, basically.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, we all agree that Catelyn, I'm sure had a hand in that as well because she always hated Jon, so and treated him accordingly.
Yeah. Yes. So let's move on to the part of the episode which had me, and I'm sure people in here are going to disagree with me, had me furious. Sir Jorah, man. My dude, Sir Jorah.
And it happened so
treated
quick,
like
too.
shit. Got treated
I
like
know, man.
shit. All right, Sir I will give Sir Barristan some credit. You know what I'm saying? He got that little scroll, whatever, with the king's seal on it, and he went to Jorah first. I respect that. Man to man, like, listen, I'm gonna tell her. Sucks to be you. So he went to go tell her, and then Jorah went into it going to explain himself, and he just looked like he was not prepared at all, mumbling, stumbling, saying, I love you, but I love you. Dude, just, you should have said, like, bitch, I've been with you this whole fucking time. I could have left if I wanted to. I didn't leave you. I got the pardon. I didn't need to be here. It was only in the beginning because I was in trouble. I wanted to go back, but once he could have said some million different things to rationalize everything that went down.
I think it was just also sudden. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't have been preparing himself though for this to bite him in the ass because she knew about his past, his illegal past, in getting kicked out of Westeros and what it was for and everything, and you had to figure that at some point that would try to be used against. He should have seen that coming and been more prepared. Because as smart as Tywin and everybody else is, I mean, Tywin, that's what he was having Mace Tyrell go fetch him a pen and paper for, so he could go and, however he needed to get a copy of that pardon or whatever into the, I mean, it was the hand of the king's seal on it and everything. I know it was the original one that was signed by Robert Baratheon, but he basically was like, I'm going to cause some dissension amongst the ranks. And Jorah to be that stupid to not even have a good defense or not to have already gone on the offensive and told Daenerys and said, listen, some shit's going to go down and you're going to be told some stuff, but it was back when I was working for your brother and he was a real douche, so I did some things, and I think that would have been a better preemptive strike or just being better prepared, knowing that eventually they'd have to take notice of what's going on over here and that they would try to cause that separation.
Right.
But I think overall, long story short, Jorah fucked up because ever since he decided to work for Daenerys and he was going to be loyal to her, he should have gone to her right then and been like, look, I came here as a spy, but I'm not a spy anymore. That should have been his first thing he came clean about, but
then she would have never been able to trust him. I don't think he would be one of her advisors.
I mean, that's the only thing she could have possibly done.
Difficult to start any type of relationship, dude, on a lie, and then to come back later and be like, no, but it's cool. I really got to like you after I was spying on you for a while. And it's
a relationship with, hey, by the way, I'm a spy.
Yeah,
okay,
no. Bad.
Okay, but you gotta think about it this way. Look, it's better to come out first than to be backed in a corner and be forced.
No, there's
to say
no
it.
doubt. But I mean, if you were put in that situation, I think it would be very hard for you to go to a person that you really love and admit that kind of thing. I mean, how was he supposed to know any of this was going to come back up?
If anything, he should have hauled ass as soon as he could because.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have at least been able to see that was something that could be used against him.
Well, that's funny because I always thought the one guy who told Jorah, was thinking like he was waiting for him to to get out of the boot because remember way back in like second season those two were talking, see how they were going to shape Daenerys and do certain things for them.
Third season.
Yeah, third season. My bad.
All right, here's my take on it. I understand why fans are mad, but I cannot blame Daenerys for making the decision she made.
No, I mean you can't.
This is Dany's story is establishing herself as a ruler. She has to make an example out of someone. In the same way, honestly, that Joffrey had to make an example out of Ned. They're not gonna tolerate no bullshit.
Yeah, and she can't have somebody that close to her that was a fucking spy that was spying and conspiring against her.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is one of her first decent decisions she's made.
No. She did make a bad decision though. she made a bad decision on two parts. For one, not even hearing Jorah out, though, I will admit that. Not letting him explain anything. And for two, sending him away. Because she's at war with the masters that are still alive. Jorah knows every one of her battle strategies. She knows everything about her camp. You don't know if he may be spiteful and go hook up with the masters. That could happen.
She should have just had him thrown in the dungeons there or something.
Exactly. She should have thrown him in a dungeon and sat on it and came to another decision and test him in some kind of way or something along that lines.
Yeah.
She acted as if that he was some kind of stranger. You know what I'm saying?
I don't
think. She did. She did him dirty, man, and it happened pretty quick too.
I don't think it was as much her not hearing him out as it was him sounding like an idiot. I love you. I love you. No.
Yeah, there's probably fault on both sides. But
the most about this scene, though, is that this scene was poorly misplaced because this should have been like an end of the episode kind of scene. I think this scene, if done right, could have been an end of the season scene. That would have been a cool cliffhanger.
I like the whole him like riding out solo kind of thing.
This is a big thing. You know, Jorah has been with Dany since the beginning, and for this to be placed where it was and be overshadowed by the Mountain and the Mountain and Oberyn fight, and what happened with that, I think it was poorly misplaced in that sense. It should have been either maybe an episode or two beforehand, or it could have been a nice little end of the season scene.
I don't know. Now it's kind of overshadowed. Whether it's overshadowed or not, it still happened. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree it could have happened differently, but I mean, you can say that about
like the impact, a lot of the scenes. You know what I mean? It's not there because everyone's on Oberyn right now.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. It's just tough.
Yeah.
But honestly, I said this last week. I didn't think that she would, if she learned about this, that she would overreact, knowing the fact that he's obviously very loyal to her.
No,
whether he was a spy or not, you know, she overlooked the fact that he was a slave owner. You know what I'm saying? And she's crucifying slave owners. So why would she care so much about him being a spy when he obviously doesn't do that anymore? Doesn't care about that anymore? That's in his past. He obviously chose her. He's the most loyal person in her.
It goes back to the slave owners and her crucifying.
Can she really not trust him? Can she really not trust him? Can she honestly say she can't trust him?
It was a whole thing about
her blind justice that she has right now.
Yeah, and it's like, also
those who wronged me will, you know, that's kind of her character arc right now.
Yeah, she's seeing things really one-sided. But I was gonna say, I always thought she would, overreact to certain things like that. So it wasn't that surprising. I mean, she could be a caring, loving person, but above all, she ain't afraid to, if anything like really people really would wrong her, she's gonna take it, she's gonna strike it as a 10 instead of pull it down as a 2.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is regardless of trust or whatever comes into play, you cannot. When you look back on it, she even said, so the attack on my life, the attempt on my life, the merchant that tried to poison me, that was because of information you fed. And he said, well, yes, but I saved you. And she's thinking like the way I'm thinking. It never would have happened if you didn't put me in that compromising position by going and giving the enemy secrets from across the sea, because an attack could have came at any time, and what if he wasn't there, to save her and what have you. So I definitely feel that it was justified that she had to get him out of her life in some way, shape, or form. I just think it could have been handled differently. I think she could have at least given him the dignity of 30 seconds in a private conversation, as opposed to having to be regal and loud because she's the queen, type of deal. I think he deserved a little more than that. But
yeah,
right.
I was wondering.
Even that don't even speak my name or touch me.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, she does have the mentality. She is a queen. She is a ruler. She has,
That's true, but she was just fucking the pool boy last episode or whatever you want to call him.
Last episode, she's like, no, tell him that you changed my mind because we're such good friends. And this episode was like, fuck you, get out of my face. Like, man, fuck. Bitch, man. Oh, I'm sorry. I understand it. It makes sense. But I still fucking hate her, man. I do.
No, that's what I said. I keep my guard up with Dany sometimes. But I was wondering if that was Varys that made him got caught, because I guess he wanted to make something happen between that group over there.
No, that was Tywin.
It was Tywin.
Tywin's the one 2 episodes ago, or one episode, whenever it was, right before the trial, when he asked Mace Tyrell, they talked about Daenerys and what the situation was. They talked about Sir Barristan and Sir Jorah being these 2 battle-hardened, war-type veterans that would be great advisors and that are helping her grow. And he said, and then Tywin went and said, it told Mace Tyrell, fetch me a pen and quill, or whatever, a pen and paper or whatever, and so he could go and write that letter, and it caused dissension amongst the ranks. It was the smartest thing to do. I mean, I'm sure that obviously Tywin knew about all that with with Varys from what he, it all came out in that conversation, I believe. So,
right. Also, Zora, you gotta remember too, what happened to Dany the last time she showed mercy to someone?
What was this? Didn't you show mercy to the person whose father was a slave owner?
The lady with her baby.
The lady who killed her unborn child.
Oh,
remember when she showed mercy? And I think ever since then she's kind
of.
That
wasn't. Well, that was mercy, yeah, but she was stupid to trust somebody she didn't know.
That was a while ago too. She was like 10 times more naive. That's when she was still taking her clothes off.
Character progression, but that's still like ever since then, you've noticed she has been harder. And it's getting more and more.
But the last episode, she showed mercy. You know what I'm saying, to that one guy, like I said, whose father was.
She showed respect to that one man. She showed respect to as a citizen in her kingdom. She showed that man respect. I wouldn't call it mercy. I mean, that man is a subject of her kingdom.
But 2 episodes ago, she had the whole mentality of, if it's my, I'll treat justice with justice, and yet she shows obviously, depending on the situation, she's willing to change her mind. So she's a bit of a hypocrite. As far as I'm concerned, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, we can go to the Arya and the Hound scene. First, we see Arya talking about Joffrey, and I love this scene. I love the scene just throughout. All right, she's like, "Listen, I would have killed Joffrey however the fuck I wanted to kill Joffrey. Whatever it takes, I would have done it." And that's what I love about her. It kind of foreshadows what she's going to be in the future. She's going to be a killer, a cold-blooded killer in the future.
She's a get-her-done type, man. She's just like, this is what I got to do.
Exactly. It's like your stupid pride, Hound, because, like, listen, men, that's a woman's weapon to kill poison. Men kill with cold steel. Like, listen. She's like, if I would have been chicken bone, I would have used that to kill Joffrey. So, yeah. And what really scares me, man, and I hope is, the Hound is like messing with his neck. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of like scratching still, and he's still like it's still bothering him.
He's infected, man. He got that gangrene gonna set in.
Please don't kill the Hound with this stupid ass infection shit.
Please. It's gonna be like a life lesson on that. Even the strongest men fall.
Please, no, don't do that to me. Come on.
I don't want that to happen either, but.
Just don't.
I don't know. I like their little conversation, but I just loved when he announced himself as Sandor Clegane, the Hound, and my traveling companion Arya Stark. Here to see her Aunt Liza. And they're like, sorry, Liza died or committed suicide like a few days ago. And when Arya just starts busting out laughing, at first I was like, that's so ill-timed and not well-placed. But then I was just like, I thought about all the stuff that's happened to her, like, just from the point of, like, season 1 on. And this poor girl's got to be like, can I get a fucking break, The Hound has been traveling her all over the place trying to get a reward, and last time they got to somewhere, obviously the Red Wedding happened, and she was pulled out of there before she was killed along with Robb and Catelyn and everybody else.
Right.
And I just, I just loved it. It was played up. I think she was part laughing at the Hound and part just laughing like she's just starting to lose it.
She's done with it, man. Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, what else can happen to me? You know what I mean? So, and the irony of it is that Sansa is, like, just down and hanging out in the and she has no idea because Sansa's there under cover of, pretending to be somebody else. And, oh, man.
So. Yeah, because I was about to say, she's starting to really lose her insanity. I mean, it even goes to that picture I remember I posted you guys, like, she's like, fuck this. All my family's about, basically dead and stuff.
Right. I don't think she's losing her sanity. To say that she's losing her sanity is a bit much, in my opinion. I just think that she was laughing at. I think that she was just laughing at how fucking ridiculous and how much probably in her mind she thinks that gods hate her for all that's happening to her right now.
She was laughing at George Martin for writing such a fucked up character progression for this poor girl. She was like, what?
Exactly. But this means, like I said, I called. They're could probably go to Bravos. I mean, where else could they go at this point?
Yeah.
She's gonna get maybe Cyril Farrell, maybe the other guy. I forgot his Jaqen.
Jaqen Agar.
No, but I was gonna say, check this out, though. I think she is losing her sanity in some ways, but it's more of her urge to kill. You know which character I'm gonna relate this to? Remember Guts for the Driven of Revenge? She's basically doing that. You saw the conversation they were having going into the Vale.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
Don't be spoiling that Berserk shit for me, man. This is a Game of Thrones live stream.
Hey, I ain't said nothing.
That's not a spoiler. Not a spoiler, man.
Yeah, all right.
Get on that wagon, Jim.
I'm getting. I'm climbing
you
on,
think
man.
you think that skull being crushed is brutal? You don't know brutal, man.
I've heard some things.
Yeah. But okay. So that was that scene. I really like that scene. But next we can move on to probably the more symbolic scene of the episode, which was kind of boring in my opinion, but still I think trying to say a message, and that was the whole Tyrion and Jaime scene with the beetle crushing. Because you think that the story's gonna get somewhere.
You think it's gonna go somewhere, and it just fizzles out.
It doesn't go anywhere. And I think the message behind it was basically something along the lines of there is just needless, senseless killing, and there's nothing you can do about it. The strong take out the weak, and that's it. That's what it is.
Yeah, I heard someone say that what it sounds like it could be is the cousin is like symbolizes like the gods or whatever, and they just randomly are just killing people, like just for no reason.
Well, yeah, cause I was gonna go with I thought actually the scene was pretty good because for a couple of reasons. One, I like how same thing what Tyrion thinks of. He's just like sitting there watching his cousin because he said he had a thirst for knowledge. I mean, seeing why a person do what things he does, and when you really see how how his mind wanders as far as Tyrion. You get to see what he feels and what he thinks about. I mean, the whole thing with the symbolic thing of the beetles is, a lot of characters dying. But I think when he was holding that one bug up into, when he was inside the prison, basically, I think he was trying to show like a glimmer of hope, like maybe I could be that, this one person that probably, got out, who doesn't die.
Right. See, I think the crushing of the beetle is also maybe foreshadow for Oberyn, but. Because he got crushed,
Yeah, because I almost looked at it as like Tywin was always basically crushing Tyrion. Tyrion was always this imp. He was always this outcast. They were always trying to get rid of him. Somebody was. Cersei hated him at a very young age, right? Or that it could have been a metaphor for like the Mountain itself. The Mountain is indiscriminate about who he kills. If he's told to kill somebody, he just fucking kills them, and it's like he enjoys doing it. It's almost like that's just his deal. He gains pleasure or joy from it and does it. And same thing with this cousin who was obviously dropped on his head or whatever happened to him, where he was a little bit light upstairs, and obviously it was just random, but it was something that pleased him, even though it was killing these other creatures or whatever. So I think you can take a lot of different things from it,
I think it was an interesting scene. Interesting.
Yeah.
I asked everyone at the end of my video what they thought the metaphor and meaning behind it was, and the best one I think I got was from Todd Fowler. It's a metaphor for human self-destruction, wars, and murder, and we're the moron that just keeps destroying ourselves. I like that. I like that one.
That's pretty good. I like it.
That's like the beauty of it, I guess. There's a lot of ways to interpret it, but.
Plus, it was just nice to see Jaime and Tyrion having maybe their last drink together. Who knows what's going to bring. It was just very, very symbolic in that sense, where it was like we're just chilling. It doesn't have to be a really earth-shattering conversation, but we care for each other, and obviously that may be his last drink, and his brother's there to share it with him too. So I thought it was very nice, very symbolic.
Yep. Very well said. Very well said. So let's move on. We already talked about it a bunch, but let's just go over one more time. Of course, the final fight. Honestly, I don't think in Game of Thrones we've ever seen anything as brutal as that final crushing end.
No, I don't think so.
And I hope we don't see anything any more brutal than that, to be honest, because my little heart couldn't take it, man. It was rough. It was rough for a while. So, with that being said, I still think it's something to applaud when a writer can surprise and just do something along the lines of make you think one thing's gonna happen without a doubt, without any shred of possibility the other way, and just completely do a 180 on you and just shock the shit out of you. And that's exactly what happened. So, bravo. That's all I have to say.
And I think doing such a great job of, in just 8 episodes of this season, or however much he was in the book, making you feel attached to and feel an affinity or a love towards that character so much, because so many people loved him as a character. And obviously, common writing and plot progression and everything else tells you don't introduce a guy like this that's got this great story, this great background, and then kill him. So that's what made it even more crushing, I think. But it was it was grotesque and beautiful and like just disturbing, and there were like all these different words, you know, that contradict each other because there were so many different things going on in that scene. You know, I think
the wife's or the paramour's scream was just like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
I think Oberyn's scream was worse.
No.
yeah.
Oberyn's scream.
For me, I never got on the Oberyn hype train. I think he was a great character, but he wasn't seen enough for me to like really like, oh fuck, he's dead. My dread, the pit of my stomach comes from the fact that now Tyrion is going to die. That's where my dread comes from. I mean, I didn't want Oberyn to die. Don't get me wrong. I just never was. But as far as attached to the character, I wasn't really attached to the character. He was in only 3 or 4 scenes the whole entire season.
He was in
More than that. He's more than that.
But he was. But every time he was in a scene, though, he was in some big scenes, some big ones with Tywin, a big one with Tyrion. I mean, every time he was on the screen, as far as I was concerned, he knocked it out of the park and he stole the scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say he had that high charisma. I mean, he
was a great Casimir character and all that. I just he wasn't like, but everyone's like making him out like he's like the best character since Ned Stark. I wasn't with that. I thought he was a cool character, and I'm sad that he's gone. But the sense of dread comes from me from what's going to happen to Tyrion now. That's what I'm like. To me, that overshadows Oberyn's death. Is the fate of Tyrion.
Yeah, but that's presuming that they would go and do something as just corny, cliche, and cheesy as going and beheading Tyrion, you know, in the same fashion that Ned Stark was beheaded, and in the same time period or towards the end of the season. It's not going to happen.
I think it's a good chance that Tyrion can die. First off, it doesn't. We know. All right, Ned Stark in season 1 was the best character in the series, hands down. Tyrion right now is the best character in the series that everyone loves. George does not care. And the fact that if Tyrion does survive, what is he going to do story-wise? What role is there for him? Because he will not have the support of his family anymore. He'll be a fugitive on the run. What could possibly be Tyrion be ridden into?
I don't know, but I'm still hoping that maybe
Sansa going to take him.
My only hope is that apparently Tyrion's George's favorite character. That doesn't really give me a lot of hope, but it gives me a little bit of hope. And he doesn't have anybody. What's going to happen? Like, maybe
you know what?
Who can save him right now?
I keep thinking that Jaime's going to go and just say fuck it, man, and just renounce everything from King's Landing, realizing that his family is a fallacy and everything else. And I'm hoping that somehow on the way out, that Tyrion or somebody has some kind of fucking plan that was devised. Maybe even something through Littlefinger with the Tyrells to take out Tywin and Cersei.
But
that's my hope.
But that's plot armor, and that's not how Game of Thrones works.
Mm. I'm just doing what I'd like to see. That's all. I'm not saying.
I get it, but I'm scared.
No, that's why prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves.
Now just tell me to prepare myself.
That shit's not cool. You don't tell a dude, you're like, hold on, I'm gonna punch you in the nuts, dude. Clench up. No, you don't do that, man. You know.
I mean, like watching Game of Thrones, his ass gonna get your nuts punched. It's basically that's what it is.
There's nothing Jaime can do. Jaime does not have the manpower. He does not have the fighting skills to save Tyrion.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because
unless he knows like some secret corridor passages or something. Hey, come this way. Yeah, I know this path was here the whole time, but I was hoping you kind of would make it out.
He knows about all that secret rendezvous shit from when he was banging his sister, man. That dude probably knows how to get around the place.
I mean, maybe you can get Bronn to help, but
yeah,
Bronn's already. I don't know.
That's the thing I was about to say because I'm like, there's only 3 Jurassic Worlds I can probably see in this. Besides him getting beheaded, somebody comes out and saves him. Either his brother or maybe his father might do something. I don't know, maybe.
Nah, his father wants him dead now.
Yeah, Tywin's just pissed that he doesn't get Jaime in the process because when he called the trial by combat, all bets were off.
I was gonna say maybe his father still wants that.
He still wants it, but he knows he's not going to be able to get it. The only way he was able to go and get Jaime to do that was with having Tyrion as the bait. So. And we saw how that one worked out. I don't know. Like I said, I just I'm hoping beyond hope that maybe Tyrion will make it out. He'll make it out somehow. And I'd like to see, as much as I love Tywin as Charles Dance as the actor, and he just plays Tywin so perfectly. I think it's time that Cersei or Tywin have outlived their usefulness, and I really want to see another Lannister die that's not Tyrion or Jaime. So
Yeah, we're gonna see the
Definitely
Lannister
Cersei,
die,
man.
Jim.
Definitely Cersei. If
Yeah.
anybody, man. Fuck
We're gonna
Cersei.
see the Lannister die. Fuck.
Look on Cersei's smug fucking face when the Mountain won that fight.
oh God, and it's such a shame too because like I hate her when I see her on there, but that Lena Headey she's a wonderful actress, man. She's a nice British chick. And when she was on Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, I don't know if anybody ever saw it. It was on for a few seasons. I wound up meeting her at a Comic-Con out here in Chicago. You know, she was one of the headlining things. You wait in line, you know, for the autograph, and you get to meet and greet. I only talked to her for like maybe 30 seconds, but she was totally a cool chick, man. And then she goes and takes on this role as Cersei in here, and it's like, man, I want to fucking choke her so many times, you know? And it's like, and I know it's not real, but I want to choke her when she makes that face.
I wanted to sock her in the throat. I really did.
Honestly, I think the best, like, one of the best things about the scene was honestly Tyrion. Like, that guy's acting, even when he's not talking, is insane. Just his facial expressions were crazy.
Oh yeah, Peter Dinklage. I mean, he's
Absolutely
breaking boundaries, man. I mean, look what he got that role in X-Men. He's breaking.
I've honestly never seen someone say so much with just like 2 seconds here and there of just like showing their face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a credit to the show, man. They did a great
So
job.
if they get rid of him, man, I just can't. I can't do it, man. I don't know. I don't think we'll be review next week.
I almost didn't do my review today, man. I woke up this morning and I had slept like shit, and I was still like just disturbed over what happened. My stomach just didn't feel right, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go on here. I'm gonna turn the camera and I'm gonna start bitching and complaining, man. It's gonna turn into a 20 or 30 minute rant, me threatening to kill George Martin or some shit. And I didn't like how it was played out, But then the more and more I thought about it, and I tried to think about it as that objective person, I was like, all right, maybe there's some bigger things that can develop from this. And so I tried to look at the bigger picture, as opposed to just the emotional attachment, to a character that I was hoping would be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was trying to look at the bigger pictures. I mean, after Oberyn died, I didn't like, that much either. But, to me, I didn't feel worried because I still got a little bit of faith that maybe Tyrion's going to live through this. But if he does get taken out, then I got a little bit more lost hope than like just you guys.
I just don't see how it can.
I do see a ripple effect from Oberyn's death, though. I definitely see a ripple effect.
I don't think Dorne's gonna take this line down, man. I mean,
especially the way he died.
But the thing is,
he volunteered for the trial by combat. So I think by law, there's not much they can do about it. However, I still think that since they hate the Lannisters, they're gonna.
Okay, I'll say this: logically, yes. But how many wars are made by logic?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, even built by the smallest of things. Even with that the whole what happened to Bronn. I mean, no, Brandon. With the whole Jaime and
Well, that was far more fucked up. Well, I mean, like tribal combat. Tribal combat. He volunteered to fight that fight. You know what I'm saying? But Brandon didn't volunteer to get pushed out that window. So
like with the Martells, this is where I look. They already don't like the Crown. They already don't like the Lannisters. And now this is like this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And like, you know what? We come to fuck you up.
Well, sure, the Lannister got too many enemies. Yeah, it's bound to happen.
They do. They're in trouble, man. I don't know. I see.
They're closing in, man.
Yeah,
everything's closing in around them.
You got Stannis that's got the gold from the. You know what I'm saying? From the Iron Bank. You've got.
I think Stannis is heading north. That's my personal opinion on that one.
Yeah, that's what it was set up to. From last season, he should be going to north.
Well, obviously, yeah. That even Melisandre, the Red Woman or whatever, even she was like, "Whoa, no, hold on a second. You're gonna need Sir Davros over there. Don't be cutting his head off yet." So he's like, "We got bigger fish to fry, man. We got to get up." So I think that they know that it's impending doom up there. There's not going to be a throne to sit on if Mance Rayder and the Wildlings and White Walkers somehow get through and come crashing down from the north. You know what I mean? It's like. I don't think Stannis is like Littlefinger in the sense that he'd sit on a throne, with ashes, all around him. I mean, he wants to have a kingdom to rule.
I do find it interesting because they sent out all the crows, giving them information about Mance Rayder and the White Walkers, all this kind of stuff, right? They sent out all these crows, and no one came to help, right? Nobody came.
No.
Everybody just kind of takes the Night's Watch at this point as like a joke, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like,
they had many requests to the Crown for assistance and help, and they ignored them all.
Yeah, because
that's the original reason why Tyrion went to Night's Watch to the Wall in season 1 was to talk to the leaders, and then the leaders asked him, "Can you ask the crown? We need help. We need men."
Yeah.
And they were.
And then the excuse was that they were at war, and obviously, with everything that was going on with the events in season 2 and 3 with Robb Stark and his army, so that was the excuse then that they couldn't. There was a war going on. We don't got any people to bring to the wall.
Right.
So basically, they're like the redheaded stepchild up there, and they're trying to hold the fucking wall against 100,000.
That's insane. That's insane number. That's more than what the war was with the men.
Yeah, I mean that's 1,000 to 1 odds, and I mean even in a fortified position that you'd have to lay siege to like that, you're still talking. I mean every person has to be accountable for 1,000 kills, to thin out the enemy's army. I mean obviously they would break and run before they lost.
I don't see what they could do.
It's not gonna happen. You wouldn't.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. The only two, because I'm like they got a better advantage because they're defending, but it's really stacked against them with how many able bodies are in there. I mean, the best bet I can think of, if they have to go to one section just to go up to that entrance to the wall, best bet I can think of is, do something maybe like blow up the wall and make it, close or something.
Yeah.
Buy some time.
They got
tunnel,
right? Didn't they not? They didn't close up that particular tunnel, so
no, they didn't. That's why I believe that Stannis is going to bring some help. So. We haven't seen him in a couple episodes now, and like I said, we knew that he was the only one that seemed to give a shit about going up there.
True. But Zalon, is there something you can say without spoiling?
No, I was just gonna say. I think you guys already know this though. There's a force attacking from the back. Egress force, and then there's the main force, which is coming from the front.
Just coming from the front, yeah. Yeah, and that force that's been running around attacking from the back, what are they, about 50 strong or something? It's just like a raiding.
They're really small. That's a really small force.
Maybe
The majority of the force is coming from the front. You guys have to remember this, though. The wall is fucking huge.
Yeah. It's a brilliant strategy on Mance's part, because you pretty much have the Castle Black surrounded on both sides. Because, yes, they actually have the manpower to take out the raiders, but that would take them to pretty much empty Castle Black. So they are stuck in between a nail and a hard place, and that's why now they've been cut off from all the surrounding towns.
And when you have an army of 100,000 assaulting from the north, you can just throw bodies up against the wall trying to repel up, and I mean, you just sheer weight of numbers is going to tell you that between that and your raiding party attacking from the south at 100 people, even though Mance thinks it's 1,000, 1,000 still isn't going to be able to hold the walls in that place from, I would think if you just throw sheer numbers at them.
Yeah. And it depends on
the preview. In the preview, we saw that Jon's fighting hand to hand with somebody, and it looks like on top of the wall. So it seems as though they got there. So if that's the case, then they're fucked. There's no way they could, I mean, the only way they could actually defend the wall is if you can prevent them from getting in the top of the wall, or if you can defend the wall itself and just prevent them from getting access to the wall. But if they're already up there, which showed in the preview, then what can you do? You're fucked. There's no way you can take out that many people with only 100 people, much of which are stewards and old motherfuckers that can't fight anyway. So
yeah, right. What do you got, like 50 combatants there if you're lucky?
Not to mention, Jon told him pretty much all the castles that are not manned.
Yeah,
right.
So that as well.
Two things as well, though. I don't know unless the battle takes up the whole episode. The battle was pretty long in the book, so I don't know how they're gonna fit it unless they do it for the whole episode. And another thing is, I don't know how they're going to show it. Like, I know what happens, but based on what happens, I don't know how they're going to show it. Like, I don't know how they would film that.
Well, yeah, that's one of the problems I hear, too, because, I mean, if the battle is long as what it says is, they're probably going to pull what happened at, back when Stannis was attacking.
They absolutely cannot shorten this battle. It's impossible to shorten it because there's so many details. So I don't know. I just don't know. I trust them though. I trust them.
Yeah, but you got to remember that this show is so wildly successful.
To me.
I heard they saved like 80% of the budget for like these 2 episodes. So hey, I don't know.
Oh yeah, probably could be.
This is a really good question by Julio. He's like, how do you think the Martell family will react to the death of Oberyn? Do you think that Marcella is in danger? That's interesting.
Yes, I do. I think she's going to go from a guest to being a hostage.
That's rough.
Yeah, either way, I don't know how much it's going to matter to anybody but Cersei, because honestly, she's not going to be the heir to anything, and although she is the daughter of the former queen, she's what, 10, 12? You know, I don't see what type of strategic value it's going to do for you. It's kind of like when they had those couple Lannister kids, you know, and they were like cousins of so and so. It was like, whatever, they're kids, man. You know, what are they going to do? She's not the heir to the throne.
Right, but obviously Cersei loves her kids very much, and you know, would do anything for them. So
True.
you know, maybe
Yeah.
I don't know what they would want in return.
Power. Because
Yeah, I
she's
don't know
still
what-
Queen Regent, so she could do something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll have to see. That's a good comment though. That's interesting. Apparently Castle Black is not on the wall. It's just you can just walk right into Castle Black because the previous Lord Commander rebelled against the crown. I didn't know that. So basically, the raiding party from the back could just walk into Castle Black, like, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's best
Well,
to
it's a
just
castle from the back.
Even the one that went around.
That's what Brezboy is saying. It says Castle Black
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have a
yeah.
wall.
The one that the raiding party with
Right.
Egret in it, they pretty much can stroll right in.
Okay.
The other party, the main force, is gonna they can't do it as easily. Which is why they sent the raiding party in the first place.
Right. Okay.
It's only the front part that's fortified. The wall side that's actually fortified. The back of it's just, you know, just probably like
The
a castle.
wall-
You just walk into it, you know.
The wall's a beast. The wall is a beast.
I mean, they were able to climb up it though. I mean, that raiding party.
Yeah.
That's how they got there in the first place.
I think they lost a few people there. They lost.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure how many.
It wasn't a complete success mission, but what I was saying is that's why I was saying with Mance Raiders guys coming from the north, he's got 100,000, you know? I mean, you can send as many of them up there as you want, and even if only 1 out of 10 make them, fuck, dude, you got 100,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Biggest army I've seen around, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I will say this: the wildling that kills Alistair, I will treat them to a steak dinner. I'm just saying. That fucker needs to die.
Fuck
He
that
needs
guy.
to die.
Hey, Alistair's a nice man. Come on.
Not really.
Yeah. Okay. He's gonna be the downfall of the Night's Watch, man.
I have more of a problem with the other guy, that other motherfucker that was in King's Landing. It was a knight or something. Didn't he get sent to the wall? The bald guy.
Oh yeah, no,
Marin?
yeah.
Wait.
Look at his name.
Ear right now.
No, I forget. In the show, he was sent to the wall. Like,
Oh no.
he was a knight. I forget his name.
How am I
but
forgetting his name?
he's just a cunt, man. That guy. Just
I
a-
forgot his name. I know what you're talking about though.
Okay. Yeah. So that guy, man. Fuck
Yeah.
him. Like at least Alistair, at least you can understand where he's coming from with some of the things that he's saying, because Jon really shouldn't have as much to say as he does have. I mean, he is right in the end, but you know, Alistair has at least some kind of reasonings for why he does what he does. This, because he acts the builder. Okay, what do you think about it? That's a reasonable thing to do, right? When it comes to this whole scenario. So, I mean, I'm not 100% like Alistair's a great guy because he's obviously an asshole, but I can at least tolerate him as opposed to the other guy. It's just a fucking straight up dick.
No, and you got to look at it too. A guy in his position, he's been there how many ever years, and they've never had any reason to believe that any of this shit is true. And all of a sudden, this bastard, right, from that came from Ned Stark, who shows up at the wall, and you know what I mean. And the next thing you know, he's doing this, he's doing that. We're gonna let him go on breaking his vows because he was undercover playing double agent. You know, this dude's just trying to hold on to whatever little bit of power that he still has there, and it's a seniority thing, man. It's like, what the fuck? Dude, I've been here for 18 years.
Jano Slint.
What?
Jano Slint was the other guy.
Oh, man. Jano Slit? Ugh.
Slint. Yeah.
Slint. Stupid ass name.
That's a nasty name. It's
Terrible
just
name.
disgusting.
Sounds
Mr. Slint.
Slint. Ugh. It's a dirty word.
Did you guys see the guy who plays Oberyn, Pedro Pascal? I saw it. It popped up on Twitter. I don't even follow him, and I happened to. It was Game of Thrones retweeted it, and it was a picture of him in the mountain with their shirts off, standing next to each other, and it was actually, dude. You could fit like 3 of this Pedro Pascal, the guy who plays Oberyn, in him. You know, I was like, oh my god, and they're standing next to each other, smiling. You know.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And then I thought about it, and Pedro Pascal, that's gotta suck, man. Your initials are PP, you know? That's just,
That's what you gotta suck, I would
poor
think.
guy.
Poor guy. Having your eyes torn out. I mean, how did they even film that whole scene with getting your teeth knocked out,
Jesus.
sounding like Tic Tacs hitting the floor, Oh, that sound of the teeth getting knocked out.
That's what killed it, was the sound and the screams and the whole mood and how quickly it happened, and the music. You were just everything drew you in, on several different senses. It hit at once is what it was, and it did it really well, because I couldn't watch it a second time. When the episode re-aired a couple hours later, my wife and I happened to have just finished up watching another show on DVR, and we watched about the first half, 2/3 of the episode again, because I usually like to rewatch it, so I'm familiar with what I'm talking about. And as we started to get into the Tyrion and Jaime scene and whatnot, we knew it was coming. We're just like, fuck it, it's late, we're going to bed. And it was getting late. So I didn't want to even see it again, man.
Yeah, I rewatched it for a video. It wasn't pleasant, but besides that,
I was watching it like 4 or 5 times.
Oh man. How could you, man?
Man, straight out of Compton.
I watched the episode twice. And, yeah, I'm like, fuck.
They had to show it after his head exploded. Like, they had to show it.
Well, that was the part that got me.
They had to show it with his mouth, with his gums sticking out, because he had no teeth. Like, oh!
No, that's the part that got me. We want to put the whole term of realism, because after he gouged his eyes and stuff, and he did that bust, it seemed like his skin just fell all out, too.
You've seen worse than Berserk, Zorro.
I know, but that's a manga, you know what I'm saying?
That's something that's drawn, so it's a little bit easier to separate your mind from it. This was like an in-motion thing that was done with wonderful camera angles and special effects. Like, it was so gruesome that you fucking saw the brain and skull, and you were like, oh my gosh.
That's what a brain and skull looks like when it's squished. That's what I think.
I've seen like the goriest things in manga, but nothing compares to like...
Well, I've seen glorious... I've seen glorious weird shit before, but it depends on certain ways how you do it. Because I got used to like stuff like that. I remember when we used to do like science class, we used to do like what's that thing, dissecting and all that other type of shit.
Yeah, gore doesn't really bother me that much because I've seen so many.
What did it for me? It was okay. It wasn't even the gore as much, but it was the screams. Like this guy's literally like struggling. Like I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that got me in the whole knocking his teeth out.
Yeah, it was just like I still had some hope as the scene was going on. I'm like, okay, his teeth got knocked out. Maybe he'll do something. Okay, now he's getting his eyes gouged out. Maybe he'll be blind, but he can fight. No, okay, now he's dead.
Yeah, he's gonna pull a dagger out.
I'm like, he's a mouse, man. Once he got a hold of you, it's over. He's a giant.
Yeah, it was over, man. Oh, that was rough. That was really rough. But yeah. Any other scenes to go over? Because I think we've covered pretty much everything with this episode.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, I think we did a good job here. We've been streaming for about an hour and a half or so, so I think we can wrap this stream up. Let's do our sign-outs. Jim, you can start up.
Hey, like I said, I'm just emotionally invested in the show. I think too much more so because of doing the reviews now, and of course these live streams. So I want to, not forget this name or this location, or so I've been learning a lot more about it, and it feels that much more impactful when you see an episode like this. There's several things that wrapped up, and I'm really excited to see what they have in store for us for the final 2 episodes of the season. So definitely look forward to seeing everybody here next week.
All right, very nice. We have Shot Red.
Yo, man, after that whole scene at the end, I got to see what George can do after he top, that. He got to top something more than that. But put all jokes aside, but I really did love the episode. I mean, a lot of characters, you see a lot of interesting things that they do. I mean, you see what their goals are, how they're turning into now. I want to see how far continuing the story, what happens next. When it gets to that next episode, I really do want to see the fight, but also I want to see other characters and see what they're doing. So, all in all, a good episode.
All right. Animerick?
Like Jim, this show is probably this series out of everything I watch and read, I'm the most invested in. I put a lot of time into Game of Thrones. Fucking Tyrion. Man, I'm petrified right now because Tyrion.
I'm with you, man.
I don't know what to say.
Hey, I think he's gonna live. If he don't, then I'll be there with him.
Man, I don't see it.
No one is safe, man. No one is safe.
In Game of Thrones. I'm being a realist. I want to be like, yeah, he's gonna make it.
I'm a realist too, but I think that's gonna be that. I think there's still more uses for him.
I mean, like saying Tyrion's gonna live is like saying Fairy Tale's gonna get really good. I mean, it's just not gonna happen.
Well, I think there's a lot more likelihood of Tyrion living, to be honest. But than the other thing. But okay. Xaladin.
All I have to say, this is what I'll end off on, is you guys better just prepare yourselves. That's all I'm going to say. Prepare yourselves.
All right. That's good. That's good stuff.
Be prepared.
Would you say that the next couple episodes will be, if not better, than on par with this episode?
I think they'll be better.
Wow.
Better.
What I gotta be
He
prepared
said
for.
better.
Not ready.
So if they're not better, then get on Xaladin and shit. But he said it. So. All right. So yeah, for me, like I said, it was an amazing episode. Some parts of it were kind of boring. The beginning was kind of boring, but the ending more than made up for it, and some good stuff in the middle as well. So overall, good episode. I did a reaction. It wasn't actually a reaction. It was just kind of a fun, kind of funny video I made to the episode that I uploaded yesterday. If you want to check that out, and yeah, should do have my reviews up on Wednesday. That's it for us, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Subscribe to all of these gentlemen here. I will put links to all their channels. This time I will. I won't be lazy. Like the video if you liked it, and definitely subscribe. Like I said, stay tuned. Next week we'll be back to do these reviews. Hope you enjoyed it. We're out. Peace.
Long live Tyrion.
He better fucking live, man.
Please.